My name is Dr. Alex Pavlotsky. I'm an anthropologist. I'm a neuroanthropologist, so my PhD is in anthropology stuff. My background is in psychology. I did my PhD research largely on mind-body connectivity. The theme is escape, but escape from what? When you look at all the videos that are put together in this particular documentary, the thing that people are escaping is sort of a notion of themselves. And it's funny because we don't think about escaping from yourself when you do something like dance, and we don't think about escaping from yourself when you do something like acting. In a lot of ways, it feels like indulgence. We see people who are saying that they're escaping the city or escaping loneliness or some kind of situation that they find unpleasant by doing activities that really engage them. That it's a sort of type of exercise that they can completely and totally get into. Doing something physical is a puzzle. The way that they could engage their mind and their body in being able to work themselves out. And that's something that completely engages them. And they call that the idea of escape. But the interesting thing about that, in my opinion, is that what they're really doing is they're sort of unifying. They're not escaping, they're connecting. They're connecting with their body and they're connecting with their mind. What they're escaping is the image of themselves, that idea of the Christian soul. And in all the research that I've done, one of the things that helps us in terms of getting away from stress, in terms of getting away from anxiety and getting away from all the terrible damage that that does neurologically, is connecting to something bigger. And the funny thing about that is that's what we see when we see the person who's climbing in the Grampians.
Climbing to me, it's not just a sport or it's not just like an activity physically, it's also a mental puzzle. You know, you have your set that you've got to work on, and then once you complete the puzzle, there's that real sense of accomplishment. You have the mental factor as well as the physical factor. It's also time for myself. I can use it during the week just to sort of get in my little meditative state and focus on just a problem in front of me rather than like worrying about all of my other stuff. But also on the weekends, it can be more social. It can be a time to hang out with friends and get to know people at the gym. It's more of like a social interaction.
Most people, when they realize that I climb, I'm met with indifference. They don't really understand it. I think their extent of understanding is that I just like being outdoors. They don't really understand what I do. I tell them I climb without ropes and they're like, isn't that dangerous? And I'm like, yeah, but it's part of the fun, so. I started off climbing indoors just as a way to take my mind off things. I found it was a really good way to sort of be oblivious to the rest of the world. It was also really good for my anxiety. It just really helped me to just sort of settle down. And
so I gotta go from here.
I've tried other meditative things like yoga, and I just can't switch off.
Two in here.
So I find that climbing,
Catch that one up there.
the only thing I can really focus on is not falling.
I was introduced to climbing in Sweden about 5 years ago, but I really got into it when I moved to Brooklyn. I had no friends and the climbing community was just really open and really friendly and able to make like proper connections and friends there. So it was hard to make friends my own age, and that's really where climbing like came into play, and it was like an outside activity but also a real like friendly social environment.
Climbing for me definitely is therapeutic.
Climbing is an art.
Second segment is about dance, and the way that dance is used as an opportunity to reconnect and escape. And why we see it as escape is because they're connecting with not some essentialized soul idea, but they're connecting with their body. They're expressing a lot of the feelings that they feel or the distance or alienation that they have by having to project a constant image. And not having to talk and just letting people feel is something that you can achieve through dance.
On my first day of life, I witnessed the purest form of love, an allegiance to my parents that I would forever be a part of. A mother's gentle embrace, a father's protection. I knew in my heart that love would keep me safe. Childhood began and I was in for a ride, propelled to all depths in order to thrive. Academics and dance, I embraced each adventure I took. The future is a stretch of warmth and I never once looked back. Adolescence opened the closet of insecurity. Wearing comparison would be the thief of joy. Success is to measure up and to not means failure. Self-worth is defined by your achievement on paper. The aesthetic of your body, the balance of your bank account, meeting unrealistic ideals would become paramount. On my 16th year of life, I witnessed the end of a union. Love no longer pure, but divorce an unpopular opinion. The messages from this time: need to fight to solve your problems, drink to numb the pain, unresolved and unforgiving, the storm too fierce to contain. Lost in purpose and found in affliction, I became the prisoner of my mind and controlled by addiction. I'm screaming out for help, but the words don't come out. I subside to four walls of misery and doubt. The structure of society is not geared to cope with mental illness. You're an adult now. You must be strong and overcome your sickness. We are divided by hypocrisy. Be unapologetically yourself, yet why aren't you better? For years, I'm apprehensive about reaching out for help. What will they think? You need help. You're not normal. Go see a shrink. The noise of their opinions drowning out my own. They place me in a box and carve out the word crazy. The years pass by and life doesn't feel organic anymore. So I find myself through dance, a creative form of self-expression, an escape to a world where I know who I am, a person I will no longer question.
Acting is the central theme of this segment. The escape is not an escape from self, it's a connection. The idea of connecting to something greater is the connection to the audience. Not having to present yourself the way that we would when we're trying to impress people when we meet them for the first time, or when we put an image of ourselves out there on social media. It's the ability to be able to reach out and project a character, make people feel things. This is the process of psychological affect, and it really, really, really makes us feel like we're part of something bigger.
I am waking. For a split second before I wake up, I'm free from the outside world. Free from reality, free from the stress, the pain, the fear, the upset, free from myself. I'm awake. The situation that I'm in becomes clear in my head, and the memories start flooding in like water through a hose that waters the garden that is my mind. And I become trapped. I'm captive in my own head. Then the feeling in my chest enters the world with me, ready to start the day. This feeling of pain that inhabits my entire chest and then moves to the rest of my body. I wish I could just tell it to fuck off. But isn't it funny how you can control so many things about yourself, but your emotions just aren't one of them? I act. That's what I do. That's what I've always done. There are many reasons why I do what I do, but let me go ahead and tell you just two. 1. I act for the people that come and see me. They can come and escape their lives, their stress, their kids, their parents, the jobs that they hate, the jobs that they love, the shit that drags them down every single day. They can forget for just a few hours. 2. I act because I can escape my captivity. I can become a different person, and not only can I control the way that they walk and the way that they talk, but most of all the way that they feel, something that I can't control within myself. Their problems become my problems, and my problems don't exist. My life, my stress, my family, my friends, the yelling and screaming of everyone around me, the silence that I never want to hear again, that fucking feeling in my chest and the thoughts in my head that work together like mechanics of a car that drive the 3-door Land Rover Defender that is my body. It's crazy how your brain and your heart take up 24% of your body but have the ability to control 100% of it. I can experience that split second before I wake up, before I start my day, before I face my day. I can experience peace for just a few hours.
This one is art. That's the best way that I can describe it. The thing that's really obvious and the thing that connects them all was that idea of being trapped and inside, performing for someone else. And the freedom at the end is outside, connected to a bigger world and alone, free to be yourself. I think the big important thing to take away from all of this stuff is the idea that escape is not escape in a universal sense. The way that we understand the world and our cultural background and the way that we behave in everyday life shapes it. And the funny thing is, escape is always escaping those things that we do every day.